What's up guys, it's Karus and welcome to another video. Classic has been out for a week and I know that many of you guys are rolling mages this time around. To help you more efficiently level your mage, I've put together this little overview of different farming locations as well as some tips and tricks on how to practice Aoe farming on your mage. Before I jump into the meat of the video, let me go ahead and explain the principle of Aoe farming for those of you who aren't familiar with the terminology or are simply just new to WoW. In classic WoW, mages are quite unique in that they can essentially kill as many mobs as they want to, without actually taking any damage. No other class can do this, and as a consequence, World First level 60 was indeed a mage. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you are low on quests, or you just want to grind out a couple levels before you move on to the next zone, I recommend Aoe farming, as it is actually faster than questing, although at the cost of being somewhat difficult to do for less experienced players, and prone to griefing.
No.
It takes a bit of finesse and practice, but will go from difficult to trivial faster than you might think. Firstly, I'm gonna give you guys a list of grinding locations. These are just examples and there are way more places that you can visit if these are crowded. That being said, any location where there are casters, i.e. mobs that have some sort of ranged attack, you should generally try to avoid, as these do damage to you as well as causing knockback on your blizzard, which further drains your mana and your ability to keep everything slowed. Here are some good spots to farm. Once again though, if these are crowded, you can always go elsewhere. Just look for any area with melee mobs that also has a decent density of mobs, and continue your grinding there. So you can basically start Aoe farming as soon as you get Arcane Explosion, although I generally wouldn't recommend it before level 22. Primarily just because there are plenty of quests available at this point, and they're both easy and efficient to do in terms of experience per hour. What makes Aoe grinding so efficient are the following talents: Permafrost, Improved Frost Nova, and most importantly, Improved Blizzard. These three talents allow you to kite for as long as your mana bar allows, without taking any damage. Depending on your gear, spell rank, level, and opposing mob, it generally takes at least 3 full blizzards to kill a group of enemies. That being said, I tend to use a couple of Arcane Explosions while I gather them all up. This is simply to get some extra damage in where I normally wouldn't be spending any globals otherwise. Doing this allows me to usually kill stuff within 2 full blizzards, assuming I finish them off with a Cone of Cold and or Arcane Explosion. Aoe grinding is somewhat difficult prior to level 40, not necessarily just because of having no mount, but more so because you don't have Ice Barrier, and considering how mages wear cloth armor, you don't really mitigate damage that well, so you might find level 22 to 40 somewhat frustrating. Again though, it gets better. My main tip would be to start small, maybe just with 1 or 2 mobs, make sure you perfect the pull, move up to 3, then 4, and keep progressing in that way. Like I said earlier, once you get the hang of it, it's quite trivial. Anyway, let's talk about how you Aoe grind. Even if you're not necessarily going to do a big pull, it's important to realize that a small pull is going to cost you just as much mana as any other huge one. So make sure you're always at least 90% mana and you're healthy enough to take a few hits. Buff up, but don't use ice or frost armor as they will desynchronize some mobs from others. Next, you want to assess your surroundings and plan where you're going to stack the mobs, as well as what area you're going to move to, after they are all frozen in place. Remember that classic WoW has dynamic respawns, which means that mobs respawn a lot faster than they did 15 years ago. Therefore, it's vital that you keep a keen eye out at all times and never blizzard from a place where new mobs can spawn within your aggro range. single desynchronized mob is going to result in a wipe. As a final mention, make sure Frost Nova and preferably Blink are both available for use within the next 3 seconds. Start by making your way towards the pack and pull any and all adjacent mobs towards the center of where you're going to be stacking them. Remember that you can use your wand for this, saving mana, as well as rank 1 Fireball, Fire Blast and Scorch, resulting in faster stacking and less incoming damage. If the adjacent mobs are taking a while to gather up, cast a couple of Arcane Explosions or even a Cone of Cold to get some extra damage rolling. Once they are all neatly packed together, use rank 1 Frost Nova and Blink to your safe spot. From there, place your Blizzard so that the mobs are at the furthermost point of the circle. This is the most important part. Let the Blizzard channel fully expire and quickly place another Blizzard in the same way. At this point, the mobs should already be getting low on HP. By the time that your second Blizzard is finished casting, the mobs should be within melee range. Now, it's going to be super important that you're quick on your feet to re-nova and to reposition. Every single mob is going to be on the same swing timer, so you can absolutely get one shot if you're not careful here. Depending on the health of the mobs, you might find that you need to Blizzard 2 additional times, or none at all. Unfortunately, this is just one of those situations where you need to judge for yourself. Here are some tips and tricks that you might not have thought about. If the pack is awkwardly spread, you can jump or strafe to give yourself leeway as you cast Frost Nova. What this essentially does is to increase the damage of all your abilities by 2 yards, due to how the game is coded. Try to develop a habit of never standing still when you're casting an ability like Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion or Frost Nova. Secondly, the improved Blizzard slow doesn't apply instantly, so it's vital that you never engage a pack without everything being either frozen or severely slowed, like from Cone of Cold. If you try pulling with Blizzard, the mobs will move out of the reticle before they even take 2 ticks of it. This is wasted mana as well as lost damage and kiting ground. Also, don't bother training higher ranks of Frost Nova. Rank 1 Frost Nova is just as good and saves both mana and gold in the long run. Fourthly, you can use Counterspell to instantly pull mobs. It has a longer range than Fire Blast and can be used while moving, unlike your wand. That's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and more importantly, that you're enjoying your time in Classic WoW. In other news, I have begun streaming, and my first stream went all the way up to 100 viewers. A huge achievement for nobody like myself. If you want to come say hello, you can find me at Mixer on Monday through Friday from 2 PM to 6 PM. That's EU time, by the way. Anyway, it's time to wrap it up, and peace.